Hey everybody, welcome to Ad Age's Creativity Top 5 Live, our favorite part of the week when we look back on the week's creative highlights. I'm Anne-Christine Diaz, Creativity Editor, coming to you from Los Angeles.
And I'm Alexandra Jardine, coming to you from London.
And I'm Ishan Sherwood, coming to you from New York City.
Thanks so much for joining us, and thanks for all you viewers who keep coming back. You are part of our creativity family. Let us know where you're watching from, and we would love to give you guys a shout out. So we had a crazy week this week, lots of interesting work. We've been seeing a ton of holiday advertising. Last week, we saw a bunch of really sappy, saccharine, heartfelt stuff. And this week, we changed it up a little bit, or people changed it up.
It's a silly week.
Yeah, it's a silly week.
Time for some humor.
Yes. But our first one is not a holiday ad, but let's learn more about it, Alex.
Moist. Does that make you feel uncomfortable? Well, Durex has an ad out from Havas in London, which features a series of women simply saying that word. And they know it's one of the words that people hate, but the idea of it is to get people comfortable talking about female lubrication. Let's have a look at it.
In the south with some moist and some windy weather.
Moist.
Moist. Moist. Moist.
Moist.
Moist.
Moist. Ladies, let's get comfortable with Moist. Let's get comfortable with lube. Durex. Ladies, let's lube.
Moist.
Okay, do either of you hate that word?
Yes. Doesn't everybody? Everybody hates that word, right?
It is one of the most hated words in the dictionary, apparently, and it's one that people always mention as being something that makes them feel really icky. And it's interesting that Vicky Maguire, who's the creative chief at Havas, said it's the shortest script they've ever written and yet the most uncomfortable. I think that tells you something about it. But I think this will get some attention, and that's the idea. It's to get people comfortable with if they can. The idea is if they can be comfortable with saying moist, they can be comfortable with the idea of having a conversation about lube and talking about the fact that a lot of women experience discomfort.
I just love that they took that thing that we don't like to think about and applied it to this idea, because it makes sense, one icky thing and another icky thing that you don't want to talk about. It's okay to talk about it. So moist. Wait, Alex, you spoke to Vicky about icky words.
She says that another one that she hates is gusset, which I don't know. You Americans didn't really seem to know what this was, but it's basically the crotch of your tights.
Okay, do people hate hoist or joist or foist? Or is it the combination of the sound?
I think it
and
must be the sound.
connotation?
Just thinking about what it is.
Like the MOI.
So presumably a moist gusset is like the worst thing in the world.
Or panties. Panties is another word that people hate. So moist panties. But the whole crotch of your tights thing, that's like an icky thing in itself, you know, when it's just like halfway between your knees and your actual crotch.
I kind of wish this was an ASMR spot just to like really pile on.
But yeah, that was such an entertaining one. And I just love that they jumped on that idea.
Yeah, they've been doing some really interesting stuff recently, Durex. They did a whole ad about how they hope that sexual behavior doesn't go back to normal after the pandemic because, you know, we should all be practicing safer sex. So I think they've been doing some quite kind of out there stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, so great one from Havas, London. So another delightful thing that we saw this week, you know, it was a silly week. So over the course of the pandemic, we've seen a lot of brands come up with these ridiculous promotions or product ideas. For example, Dos Equis 6-foot cooler, 6-foot long cooler that allowed you to safely distance from people who come to your backyard barbecues, or Kraft's pumpkin spice mac and cheese. But this next one might take the cake, or actually the pie rather. So in a really unexpected brand tie-up, Pizza Hut teamed up with Gravity Products, which is the maker of the probably most popular weighted blanket, to create something called the Original Pan Weighted Blanket. So it's a 15-pound Pizza Hut pan pie, but it's actually a weighted blanket. And honestly, it looks super comfortable to me. That's the door. Hold on.
Could it be?
Oh my God. A pizza guy came.
Oh, wow. I
This
hope
is
you
the
tipped him
biggest pizza I ever got.
off.
What flavor is it, Anne?
I will find out.
It's crushing her.
It's a pepperoni. Oh my God.
That is the fastest delivery I've ever seen.
So GSD&M, which is Pizza Hut's agency, came up with the idea. And so basically it's to bring you all the comfort of a Pizza Hut pie in a blanket. So this product went on sale on Gravity's site earlier this week. And I think they made about 550 or so. But you know, within hours, as we've seen with a lot of these products, it sold out. But I think this could be an actual revenue stream. They should come up with, you know, different covers. Like, what if you don't like pepperoni pizza? How about a mushroom pizza? So I think they should bring it back into stock because, you know, it would be a great, you know, it's a great present for the holidays, but all year round, I think.
Yeah, everyone in the family needs their own.
I think blankets are definitely like on trend as well. I don't know about you, but we're all watching a lot of TV here during lockdown, and we all sit under our blankets and watch it because it's cold. And in fact, last night we were watching a reality show that we have here called I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. And one of the contestants, their luxury item that they wanted was a blanket that they sit and watch TV with.
I know. I saw a Wall Street Journal article too about how blankets are the new accessory, since everyone has to dine outdoors now. So
that too.
Definitely one to keep in circulation, I think.
That makes sense. And are you going to binge Netflix sometime with your weighted pizza blanket, wearing your turkey pillow hat?
I wish I could.
For the full experience.
But unfortunately, I never got a turkey pillow hat. I wish they would bring those back so we can order those as well. That was the Arby's idea.
And I suppose with this, if you're watching TV with a pizza and the pizza gets on your blanket, you can't see the mess.
And then it's like a scratch and sniff. Then you're like, oh, now it smells like pizza. It's so great.
Yeah. Hormel had come out with that mask, the bacon smelling mask.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Gravity and Pizza Hut should partner with Hormel so they could have a pizza that smells like Hormel pepperoni, a pizza blanket that smells like Hormel pepperoni.
We're just giving these ideas away, people. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, for free.
All right. So next up, speaking of all the holidays, Miller Lite knows that you're missing, I don't know, one or two things from the office because you have been working from home. But there is at least one thing that you're not missing at all, and that's the holiday party. So let's take a look.
Happy holiday, happy holiday. May the merry bells keep ringing. May your every wish come true. Happy holiday, happy holiday. May the calendar keep bringing happy holidays to you.
If you're burdened down with trouble, if your nerves are wearing thin, park your boat down the road and come to Holiday Inn.
This is a nice sentiment I haven't really seen a brand dive into yet. You know, you don't just see your work colleagues, that's fine, but now you get to actually see the people that you do like. Now that like some areas are in spaces where you can see small groups of people rather than like absolutely nobody. We've all been to these holiday parties. Like every single scene here, you're like, yep, I remember that one and that one too, and I don't miss any of that whatsoever.
I have to disagree here because I always quite enjoyed office parties, even the really cringy ones. They're so memorable. I mean, it's not some of my most vivid memories of my time working in offices are the parties.
Alex, you're the one who sits on the Xerox copier at the
I think this year, people will be missing those things, even if they did hate them at the time.
Yeah.
You know, if you're stuck at home doing nothing, you'd probably rather be watching your boss sit on the photocopier.
Are you the one who asked the DJ to play Celebrate every year? Is that you?
I was probably singing it.
I think it is interesting, though, that, you know, we've seen brands celebrate the great things about the pandemic. You know, maybe we're closer to the ones who are closer to us, or we're able to connect in different ways that we, you know, didn't think about before. So this is a nice twist on that with humor. And I love, so the cool thing about this ad is that, you know, these aren't actual people in there. They're statues created by the artist Alex Prager, who's known for her very cinematic compositions that kind of straddle the line between, you know, humor and darkness. And I think the spot perfectly captures that, you know, and it kind of speaks to the times too, right? Like we're in this moment where there's so much darkness and we need a lot of humor. So I like how kind of it has that message in it as kind of a subtext. But yeah, so DDB Chicago and San Francisco, when they were conceiving this idea, they had referenced her work. For example, she had done a piece for the New York Times a few years ago where she captured famous celebrities as bad guys. And she'd also done a Vimeo campaign out of Fig, I believe, that was really cinematic in a way. And so they were referencing her work, but it turns out they were able to actually get her for the campaign. So she created these statues and this basically a three-dimensional still life of these office party goers. So, and not only is this featuring in a campaign, it's actually going to be in an art installation that debuts tomorrow at LACMA, which is a famous museum here, known for its really cool outdoor, like not just its work inside the halls, but also its cool outdoor installations. Like there's this City Lights installation that you've probably seen all over Instagram. I think it's one of the most Instagrammed seen. So this is going to be part of that museum's outdoor exhibit now. And so it's this perfect timing. And I love how Miller Lite was basically a patron of the arts for this campaign. You know, not only is it a great spot, it's great art.
I think when you're first watching this spot and you don't know that they're statues, you're watching and you're like, oh, she really captured like the soullessness of the office party and people sort of like frozen in a moment. And I go, no, it's because they're actual inanimate objects. But man, it was spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're hyper realistic, right?
I've never been at an office party with either of you.
Okay? It took me a while to kind of really, yeah, like you said, I honestly thought at first it was just kind of freeze framed people.
Yeah, I didn't know until I read more about it. And yeah, it's really cool. And it's cool what Miller Lite has been doing in general over the last few months. They go from this to something like the Can-troller, which was a video game remote control made out of a can of Miller Lite. And then there was a Cantenna. So it's this huge array of different ways to connect. And I just, it's just, I love the ideas that have been coming out of the brand. And I can't wait to see what's next. But before we move on, we have some shout outs. We have Finn from the UK, Claudia from Kansas, David from New York, Ahmad from Jordan, Christian from Canada, Silky from Germany, Taslim from the West Indies, Andreas from Switzerland, and Irene from New Jersey. Hey, all.
Hey.
Thanks for joining us.
Hi.
So next up, Alex, what do we have?
Next up, we have number 2, which is a spot from Twitter, which reunites us with somebody you may have forgotten, but you may remember now, which is BBC Dad. He is Robert Kelly, who is the political science professor from Korea, from South Korea, who was caught in an embarrassing moment 3 years ago when his kids accidentally crashed his live interview. And Twitter, he was very viral on social media. So Twitter decided to recreate the moment with his kids, who are now a little bit older. Let's have a look.
Hi, I'm Robert Kelly. Some people know me as an international political analyst, but most of you know me as an international meme. Well, I know a thing or two about interruptions. That's why I'm here to talk about Twitter's new conversation settings. It allows brands and anyone to choose who joins your conversation, so you can keep out the noisemakers, or those who jump on your tweets for their own purposes, or the entire internet. Conversation settings lets you pick who can reply to your tweets, whether it's everyone, just people you follow, people you mention, or no one at all. All right, let's go, you guys. Let's go, you people. Let's go.
Do you remember the old days when it was so embarrassing when a kid interrupted your video call?
Yeah, and I think that's why this ad is particularly kind of relevant now, when so many of us know what it is. That so many of us have had to juggle video conferencing with kids at home. So I think it's really smart of Twitter to jump on this. And the agency, by the way, is David Madrid.
Yeah.
It's I think Twitter are quite clever at doing this. They did one a couple of years ago with the real life John Lewis, who is that guy that every year people get him mixed up with the retailer when the Christmas ad comes out. He's a real guy, I think also a professor on Twitter, and they got him to star in an ad a couple of years ago. That was kind of similar, but I thought this was very smart and funny.
Yeah, it does feel very timely. And, I missed BBC Dad. He was, when he came, sometimes I'll go back and just rewatch it because it was just so good. And I guess that was, when I first saw this, part of me was a little disappointed because it wasn't as funny as the original. And then I was also sad to see that the kids have grown up and that the baby was no longer scooting around in a little rolly chair. But it's a brilliant idea. It was so smart to tap back into that. And we all need an update on where BBC Dad is now. He looks a little different to me, I think. But
yeah, he's got his robot vacuum. I mean, that does happen. I mean, I've been interrupted in video calls by my printer kind of going off in the corner. Somebody trying to deliver a package through the window while I was doing this one day. So all these things can happen.
I thought it's interesting watching like all these people crowd into this room behind him, and your natural tendency is like, oh my God, there's so many people there. This is not safe. And then you realize, oh, actually they're filming in South Korea where this is safe and it's okay. So I do kind of wonder, like, this was out of David Madrid, and they're, filming in Korea. All of this is happening, online essentially. And, we've talked before about production companies sort of like figuring out how to film safely. And I wonder if we're just going to start seeing, more productions happening in countries that have, beaten or, kept infections low. And then countries like the United States and the UK, where things are sort of like running amok, are just not going to be shooting anymore.
Yeah. It's interesting too, because David Madrid had done that awesome Pawns.
Yeah, there's the second time this month they've been in top 5. So shout out to David Madrid.
Yeah, good job, guys. So before we go on to number 1, we wanted to look at some of the other ideas that got us excited or interested this week. Oh, we should have mentioned this one a little earlier when we were talking about office parties. So we had another office party from Gucci. This time, this one goes retro, and it's supposed to be an office party set in the 90s. So let's take a look at that.
Looking from a window above, it's like a story of love. Can you hear me? All I needed was the love you gave. All I needed for another day. And all I ever knew, only you. Sometimes when I think of her name, when it's only a game, and I need you, listen to the words that you say, it's getting harder to stay. When I see you, all I needed was the love you gave. All I needed for another day, and all I ever knew, only you.
So this, when I first saw it, I thought it was visually beautiful, entertaining, and I love Yaz or Yazoo's song. It's called Yazoo in the UK. I still don't get that. Yazoo in the UK, right?
Yeah. No idea why.
But it turns out there were a lot of complaints about this spot because it was billed as a 90s office party, but everyone thinks it's a 70s party because of the styling and the clothing.
Because it looks like a 70s party.
Yeah, as soon as I watched it, I was thinking, 94? Hang on a minute. I mean, I worked in offices in like 95, 96, and it looked nothing like that. And there was a whole swathe of people on social media who said the same. So I would actually argue that this is a case for diversity, but in an age-related way. Like, there was clearly nobody on that creative team that was around in the 90s.
Right, like a 22-year-old wrote this, and like they got confused between the 70s and 90s the same way I would get confused about fashion in the 1870s and the 1890s. Like, I'm sure there's a huge difference that the people alive then would know what the heck's going on, but like that was 100% not 1994. Except, I guess, the computers, right? That was the only thing.
The computers and the phone and the actual office looked like 1994.
Mhm.
And, you know, maybe, okay, the music is 80s, but they were clearly doing karaoke, so that's fine. But it's just the clothes, which, I mean, that is the Gucci style this season, apparently. So why didn't they do a 70s?
Why not just 70s party?
Yeah.
I guess because you couldn't do email and you couldn't reference other things. I don't know. Maybe it would be. Why didn't they just call it a multi-generational holiday party? I don't know.
Yeah.
Or say it was a 70s theme party, and then who cares when it happened?
Yeah, you could have said that, but they didn't put that on the invite, did they?
Anyway, we have more shout outs. Michael from California, Subusiso from South Africa, Nithin from India, Casey from Canada, Stanley from Italy, and Nusrat from India. Hey guys, thanks for joining us. Also, if you want to check out all the work, we're going to put a QR code. Just snap that with a phone, and it'll take you straight to the story where you can see more details, credits, and us. You could watch us again. So more of the stuff we liked. Alex, there was another interesting branded promotional idea that we saw.
Oh, yeah. Philadelphia cream cheese was out with a new product. Let's take a look at it and see if you can guess what it is.
It's the hottest gift of the holiday season. With 3D cookie crumb technology.
They're so real.
The latest dual egg processor. And 5 bricks of power. Introducing the Philly Series 5. Now, everyone can experience next generation joy.
Takes like 4K resolution.
Get the Philly Series 5 today for just $4.99 at phillyseries5.com. The Philly Series 5 is not a video game console and is in no way associated with any video game console or its creators. It does, however, taste way better than a video game console ever could. Plus, the top is white chocolate. Eggs, butter, and joystick wireless forks sold separately.
So that one's like much cheaper than a real console, right? It goes for like $5.
Yeah, which is really good value for everything that's in there. You know, 5 packs of Philadelphia, baking tin.
They really nailed the video game console advertising. Like the slow pan, even the design of it, like it looks way better than a PS5, honestly, which is like really ugly. So
yeah. Can you imagine getting that though? And then your kids are all excited. And they open it up. And lots of cream cheese. But that was from Gut, which, you know, is an agency behind many great ideas. And it's actually like selling out in their various drops or something. I think Max on our team is waiting for the next drop. But it comes at a really at the perfect time when, you know, Sony's coming out with its new console and Xbox has its Series X consoles. So it just taps into that bit of culture and makes Philly, it puts Philly in that zone. So that was just another cool idea. But speaking of video games, we saw another great idea from Grubhub. So ahead of Thanksgiving, Grubhub decided to open its own island on Animal Crossing, and it's teaming up with celebrities like T-Pain and Jason Derulo and TikTok star Addison Rae, and they're going to be coming onto the island to make deliveries to Animal Crossing players. And Grubhub's also offering Grubhub merch on its island, you know, so you could have, I guess, a Grubhub uniform, a t-shirt, hat. And that's just yet another brand innovation in the video game, but it's also cool for Grubhub. I feel like a lot of the food delivery companies have been doing really interesting things during the pandemic. I think because they're probably experiencing a lot of activity right now and it's worth it to advertise. But But DoorDash, Ishan, did something completely different from that. Can you tell us about that one?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's ordering. So, which service do you use? Because, your favorite restaurant is on 3 of them. And like, it doesn't really matter to you unless you think that maybe one particular company is doing something cool or cooler than everyone else. So many restaurants are shutting down around the country. And DoorDash has a new program where they're helping shuttered restaurants go to delivery only by setting them up in remote kitchen locations. So the staff goes there, makes the food, and then DoorDash delivers the food to people. And the very first restaurant to reopen this way is Crazy Hog Barbecue on the south side of Chicago. Let's take a little bit of a look at the documentary that they created.
It's a certain beat. It's a vibe.
You gotta schedule vacations in your 5-year plan. You gotta schedule celebrations in your 5-year plan. You're gonna have several revelations in your first 5 days. In your first 5 minutes, have your first 5 fans. For like 45 minutes,
Our story begins in the South Side. My grandfather used to say, you create your own luck. You create your own opportunity. I never saw him work for anybody. And that blew my mind. I learned business from him.
I know that I had a good start.
I met him and he was talking about all these businesses that he was going to have. And I've watched him get a bunch of no's. Or I've watched him get laughed at, but he just wouldn't stop.
So you can hear Chance the Rapper there. It's a multi-generational business. You've got family recipes, and then the couple here, the Cooksies, who put everything into this restaurant, and through no fault of their own, like so many other restaurants around the country, the pandemic shuttered them. And so it's a cool thing that DoorDash is putting. Not only like the initiative doesn't only include the kitchen space, but it also includes like consulting and some marketing and branding help to help these businesses hopefully grow larger than they even were before the pandemic.
Yeah, that was a really nice idea. And that was from the Martin Agency, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so you go from Grubhub in Animal Crossing, DoorDash with this documentary, and then there's Uber Eats, which is partnering with its various restaurant partners to do interesting things like the turkey. So Uber Eats partnered with Popeyes to introduce this new meal called the turkey, and it's basically for people who prefer chicken to the bigger bird and who just don't want to put all that time into roasting a turkey. And it's available for like $20 until November 29th, I think. And Uber Eats is advertising it with this whole like turkey special meal, chicken inside a turkey, which I happen to get. But it turns out that was just a press and a influencer thing. So people who actually order the turkey meal are not going to get it. You're not going to get this special turkey package.
Wah, wah.
Wah, wah. But, when I heard about this, I'm like, oh, does it come with a chicken sandwich too? Because, we all love Popeye's chicken sandwiches. But those who actually order the turkey will get a coupon for a free Popeye's chicken sandwich. So that might even be better than a turkey-shaped container.
And this opens the door for so many other meat mashups, right? Chish and chork. I think Christmas cham. I'm really excited to see some of those.
Sorry. Okay, let's go on to number 1.
All right. And finally at number 1, A&B BBDO has this holiday spot for Plenty paper towels, which is hopefully not your holiday, but man, what a ride. Let's take a look.
It's always a mess, but it's our mess. And there's no place we'd rather be.
God, the music choice is so good. And like it spoke to me because I was like, this guy is miserable, but like the closing line, right? There's no place I'd rather be. Like you put up with it because like it's the holidays and family and it's worth something. And like, yeah, that's exactly what the holidays are.
Yeah, and particularly this year where you might not be able to meet up with all those people. I think it's kind of quite a poignant holiday message as well as being really funny.
Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but when I saw the turkey scene and the cat butt scene, I couldn't help but think moist. Let's bring it full circle, guys. But yeah, that's probably the most unusual ad that we've seen all season. Is it? Could be. I don't know. That's just
it's one of them. It really stands out, and that's actually from the same. It's from the same ECDs who are behind the Libresse work, because it's also owned by Essity, which owns Libresse. And I think you can see some kind of parallels there in a way that they're trying to show how things really are and how they're not just how it's normally portrayed in ads. I mean, obviously, and it's an exaggeration of all the things that could go wrong at Christmas, but you could have one or two of those things happen. They don't just happen in like kind of stupid Ben Stiller movies. Things like that really do happen at Christmas. I know when my husband was growing up, his dog ate the turkey once. And I'm sure we all have a family story like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I do love where Essity is just going with the advertising. It's bringing into this fun, real zone. Hopefully it won't get too tired, because it's just such a joy to see these things pop up.
You kick it right off with pulling tinsel out of a cat's butt. You don't get more real than that. So,
and with that, that's our top 5. We have a short week coming up next week, so I don't know if we'll be back until the week after next. But anyway, keep on.
You'll be enjoying your turkey next week.
Yes, or cham. I think I'll make a cham. But thanks for joining us all, and make sure to tune in to see the more of Best in Brand Creativity at adage.com/creativity. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.